in honor of former Browns offensive tackle back in 2010 and 2011. He wasn't very good, but we're doing the 79th episode in honor of Tony Pashos.
What's wrong with you?
Tony Pashos, 79th episode. I am Kevin, alongside as my co-host Jerome, as always, behind the camera. We can see him. You cannot, is producer Eric, as always, as well. Jerome, we are recording just after 6:30 Wednesday, May 13th. The Cavs getting ready to tip off here in about an hour and a half. Game 5 in Detroit. Friend of the show, Passerell, was one of the season ticket holders that was on the bus that Dan Gilbert, one of the buses that Dan Gilbert bussed them down to Detroit for this game to make sure that the Cavs were well represented. We're wishing him good luck. We're wishing the Cavs good luck as we get this show kicked off about 90 minutes prior to tip-off. But as we start this episode, Jerome, how we doing this evening?
Good. I can't complain. How about yourself?
I can't complain either. You know, the Cavs are coming off of a 2-game stretch that I wasn't necessarily expecting out of them. I was pretty down in the dumps after the first 2 games, so I'm actually in pretty high spirits going into this Game 5. You know, when this releases at 8 in the morning, May 14th, we could be in a very different mood. But as of right now, I'm very excited and hopeful for the series right now.
Yeah, me too. And you know, as much as we came in here, and we had every right to.
We did.
We named last week's episode, what was it, the Bitchathon or something?
The trifecta of bitching.
Yeah. And every part of it was warranted and deserved. But the Cavs came home and they reinvented the wheel, did what they greased the wheel, whatever analogy you want to make. They did what they had to do. And then the Guardians, well, they looked terrible and had an awful weekend against the Minnesota Twins. They lost 2 out of 3 to a garbage Twins team. And then people are getting hooting and hollering about how great they were against they did what they should have. They swept a shitty team. So I have not too much to bitch about today. And again, the Browns are kind of voided out right now. I mean, you know, the only noise they're making is you saw Casey Concepcion pull the sword. Or no, sorry, throw out the first pitch at Progressive Field, prance across the plaza, and then pull the sword at Rocket Arena. Yeah. And then Fano threw out the first pitch last night and proceeded to tackle the shit out of Slider.
Yeah, and the Browns haven't announced it yet, but from all indications I've seen, Quinshon Judkins is going back to his Buckeye days and looks like he's going to go back to the number 1, which is kind of cool, I think.
Yeah, that's fine. You know, I don't get too much into worrying about that.
I mean, that's not like breaking news, but that's probably as much Browns as we're going to talk this evening just because...
No, yeah. There's nothing else to say.
For a few weeks in a row now, they've behaved themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And they had, you know, good practices out there according to what everybody... You know, all the people who cover the team, but how much do you really tell from guys prancing around in shorts and T-shirts? I'm not going to go crazy, so therefore there's no other reason to talk about the Browns.
Yeah, I did also see, by the way, speaking of KC Concepcion, I did see he had a pretty bad drop right in his chest, right in the old breadbasket on a quick little, looked like a post pattern maybe, or just a quick little streak. He was jogging, but right in his stomach and went right out. So hopefully those 10% drop rate doesn't carry over into the NFL. That would be the Browns' luck, huh?
Yeah, my thing is drop the football in May, not September. And,
well, the problem is he was dropping it from September through December last year.
Yeah, no, whatever. I'm not worried. I like the pick. Either way, enough about the Browns. There's no reason to babble about them any longer tonight.
No.
I think we babble about the Cavs. That's who deserves our babbling right now. And you know, I was super critical of James Harden, and
as was I.
He turned the ball over ad nauseum. I mean, it was sickening to the point where, you know, when we were at the establishment, we were watching the game last week. I mean, it wasn't just us; like everyone was noticing that the guy was turning the ball over willy-nilly.
Yeah, and I thought three out of the core 4, or the reimagined core 4, I guess we can call them. I thought 3 out of the 4 were disappointing throughout the first 2 games, big time. That's Mobley, Mitchell, and Harden, quite frankly, and all for different reasons. You know, Mitchell being pretty inefficient scoring, Harden with the turnovers, and then Mobley just not being aggressive. I mean, game 2 he finished with 1 rebound. I mean, that's unacceptable.
Yeah, they were awful. The first two games, I put a lot of it on James Harden.
As do I.
He turned the ball over ad nauseum.
Well, it came down to turnovers and rebounds. You lost both those battles, and you're going to lose the games 10 times out of 10.
And then also James Harden. Also on top of that, Mitchell was kind of, I think, a little erratic, and him and Harden were not looking like they were in cohesion.
Yeah.
They come home game 3, and I got to say, James Harden's fourth quarter was immaculate. I had nothing to bitch about. He stepped up big time.
Mm-hmm.
And then game 4,
he carried that right into game 4.
He did play really well, but it's like Donovan Mitchell at halftime. I mean, the tweets I saw about him, I don't know if Donovan Mitchell went in the locker room or read Twitter. Somebody scolded him, but like we haven't seen that kind of Donovan with that aggressive look in his eye in ages. He came out in the second half and proceeded to be the major force behind a 23-0 start. And basically, for once, the Cavs showed up to the Rocket Arena. They showed up with big balls, and they play with some testicular fortitude because they, in that second half, played how we've been dying to see them play the whole damn time. The only bitch I have is they put the scrubs out there, and that forced Kenny to put the starters back in the game with under a minute left.
I know, that was so frustrating,
because the scrubs couldn't hold the damn lead. That's the only thing I have to bitch about in game 4, but otherwise, immaculate. Even at halftime, I wasn't particularly pissed off. I says, okay, you're down by 4 points, whatever. Detroit, let's say they're a good team too. And as a friend of the show, Philly Ann, used to say, Caris LeVert, and I think all of us I don't remember, was that him who originated it? Watching Caris LeVert play basketball is like spinning the Wheel of Fortune at 7 p.m. on Channel 19.
I think that was an X.
Yeah.
Meme.
And
you didn't know if you were going to get Anthony Bennett or Michael Jordan.
And Caris LeVert spun the wheel of Caris, if you will, on Monday night as we record this on Wednesday evening. And he spun and he landed on like prime LeBron James playoffs. Like he was immaculate in that first half.
I thought Paul Reed played excellent as well.
Yeah.
He really carried them in the second half.
And then he came around. But either way, Donovan Mitchell basically looked at all of them, said, F you, I'm better than every single person on this court. And we needed something like that. Like it reinvigorated, I think, the team. It reinvigorated the fan base. Our fill-in host / our social media guy, one of them, Rob, was actually on Fox 8 after the game as he was walking out of Rocket Arena on Monday night. And he was who I got to see as I turned on the 5 a.m. news on Fox 8 when I woke up on Tuesday. And there's Rob yelling about the Cavs and how great they were. And he's notoriously, been pretty negative about the Cavaliers. But that game 2 or game 4, game 2 at home rather, I think just put everybody back in a frame of mind of like, you know what, we can do this. We can beat Detroit. We do have a superstar. Now we all have the same question, Kevin. It's a burning question. It's a dying question. What is the question that we all want to know the answer to?
Can they play on the road and win?
That's right.
That's right.
That's the answer we all need to know.
I mean, we're 11 games into these playoffs now, and by the time this releases, obviously it will be 12. Maybe the status quo continues. Maybe it doesn't. But at this point, the Cavs have played 6 home games, won all of them, and they've played 5 away games and lost all of them at this time that we're recording. And what did I say? Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? I wanted to see maybe not a 50-point Donovan performance, but I did want to see a Donovan takeover game in which he put up 40+. I said that I want to say last week or maybe the week prior. I'm almost certain it was last week, though, and I'm so glad that he went into that game and actually at halftime made those adjustments. And then James Harden obviously coming in and really closing out that game in Game 3 and carrying that over. I want to say he scored the first 10 out of our 12 points or something along the lines of that. He rolled that hot streak right into Game 4. And the big X factor in this series and the Toronto series, you and I talked about, could it be Jalen Tyson? Could it be Keon Ellis? And we touched on this last week. Max Strus has been phenomenal when he's hit on the court. He's hitting his open jumpers. He's playing. I'm not used to seeing him being this great on defense. It seems like we see that the aggressiveness from him throughout the regular season, but he'll get those stupid fouls and the patented Max Strus shrug whenever there's an obvious foul that he committed, and he starts complaining to the refs. But he's been almost just as effective defensively as he has been offensively, I've thought, throughout these playoffs.
Yeah, I completely agree. Another guy I want to shout out. He's not lifting a finger on offense, but Dean Wade's defense this Pistons series has been marvelous to the point of where, like, he has not scored, but they can't take him off the floor.
Yeah, and I want to take back what I said about him last week, because he has been a Cade Cunningham, I don't want to say stopper, but very much a limiter of Cade Cunningham.
Absolutely. And also, I'm sorry at this point. I know it was your I have zero interest in inserting Jalen Tyson in the lineup.
Jalen Tyson.
Yeah, sorry, buddy. that one.
That's all right. If Jalen Tyson's getting 10 to 15 minutes a night and they're productive minutes, and Jalen Tyson's another one that eventually gets himself into foul trouble because of how aggressive he plays. But if he's putting out productive minutes, I've got no issues. Sam Merrill's been a weird one because it seems like he's been hit or miss. It seems like
I think he was hurt for a little minute there.
Sure, but it seems like when he gets, at least from what I've noticed, I haven't seen the stats of when he's wide open compared to when he's been contested, but it seems like he's been hitting the contested shots more than when they actually game plan him open.
Yeah, his release is so fast. Like I don't mind when, like, there's a couple guys on the Cavs when they have a hand in their face and they just fire
like Evan Mobley.
They fire. Hold on,
I can't stand when he does that.
They fire away a fastball. I don't care if Sam Merrill's got two guys on him. His release is so quick and so fast, and he can go up against anybody, and he can nail the shot. Yeah. Now, I know that you can't stand Evan Mobley. That's been well documented. I thought Evan Mobley played really well in Game 3 and 4.
Truthfully, I thought everybody did.
Yeah.
Games 3 and 4. And I thought it was so cool when the crowd started chanting Jared Allen. And they immediately fed him in the post, and he had that quick turnaround dunk. The place went absolutely nuts. It was awesome.
I also think that the other thing with Evan is, I noticed particularly in Game 4, a little bit in Game 3 too, he's getting more aggressive. Like, he's fine. Like, we've been dying for him to be more aggressive on the offensive end, and he is. And not just like, dribble the ball around and dribble it off his leg. Like, he's actually making post moves against the Pistons post defenders and doing it at an effective level. And he's actually had a very effective hook shot, I thought.
Yeah.
So we need more out of that out of him. He's got to continue doing that.
Yeah, and quite frankly, I don't think Dennis Schroeder's impact can be understated either. He's been phenomenal throughout these playoffs. Specifically in this Detroit series.
I'm going to go back and have a hot take that I had at the bar last week watching the game. I looked at you and I said, if it wasn't for future Hall of Fame status and contracts weren't a thing and it was all about money, I desperately wanted to start Dennis Schroeder in Game 3.
Yeah,
I wanted to start Dennis Schroeder, and then James Harden basically showed up and in the second half, made two obscene gestures at me and said, F you, I'm the starter, which he did prove to be very good, but I was so fed up with his turnovers. And I'll say this.
Yeah.
He played really well in Game 3 and 4, but James Harden still has a turnover that has you at Rocket Arena or Little Caesars Arena if you're traveling on the road like our buddy Passerell is tonight, or in front of your television screen, where he has one or two turnovers where you just look and you're left speechless at how absurd and stupid it is. You're like, what the hell, dude? You've been in the league for 18 years. I mean, come on.
No, 100%. And that's something that we touched on last week. There was a play that he was running down. I want to say it was in Game 2, running down the court. It would have been Game 1, I think, on a fast break. And then he just starts taking his time on the fast break and then gets the ball swiped from behind him. And it's like, dude, you've been playing in the NBA for 18 years. You've been playing this sport for probably 25 to 28 years, and you didn't think at all that there was a possibility there'd be somebody behind you, and you might have to hurry this up a bit. And that was frustrating. I think it was just so good for this team to get back on their home floor, a place that they're used to winning, and they're used to having the crowd behind them. And Donovan Mitchell went on social media again and started talking about how the Cavs have or Cleveland has the best fan base in all of sports. Or he might have said that in his post-game press conference. But you could feel the impact of the crowd. Unfortunately, Detroit, also a tough place to play, and we've seen that through the first 2 games of the series. So they're going to have.
They'll be ready tonight.
Yeah,
they'll be yelling Detroit. Oh yeah, it'll be in full force.
It'll absolutely be in full force. Now, has there been anything outside of the James Harden performance, Jerome, that you feel like has been, I wouldn't say shocking, but maybe a surprise to you throughout this series? Either whether it's the play of a certain player, whether it's been the coaching. Is there anything that's been a surprise to you throughout these playoffs, throughout this series?
Yeah, I thought. Particularly the first 2 games, I thought it was, if you're a Pistons fan, you had to be kicking your feet up and laughing because, like, the guy that we got rid of in JB so clearly outcoached his replacement. It was repulsive. And I don't really even think, to be honest with you, that, like, Kenny Atkinson did anything oohing and ahhing in game 3 and 4.
Neither do I.
Like,
I just think they hit their shots.
I think his guys showed up, and they played great defense, and they ran a very effective offense, whether it was through the big men or guys hitting spot shots, whatever. I think JB Bickerstaff, win or lose this series, is probably going to laugh at the Cavs organization because I do think the one thing that I'll say is I think it wasn't clear to me at the time. I think it's very clear now. JB Bickerstaff is on the same level, if not a better coach in the NBA than Kenny Atkinson as a head guy.
Yeah, I would say so, and I think you can even go back to before the Cavs even acquired Donovan Mitchell and see what he did with that young Cavs team that was built on Garland, Sexton, Okoro, rookie Evan Mobley, and then Jared Allen. Like, you can see what he did with those 5. And maybe I shouldn't even include Colin Sexton in that because he was hurt essentially that entire year outside like the first 8 games, I want to say.
Yeah, he had a meniscus in his knee,
But it was an extremely young Cavs core. You know, that's I want to say the 3rd year of Darius Garland. Like I said, the rookie year of Evan Mobley. Isaac Okoro was in his 2nd year, and then Jared Allen maybe in his 5th year, roughly. And what he did with that team when they went out and they acquired, who's obviously now a Detroit Piston, Caris LeVert on that team, and
him and JB Bickerstaff love being.
Yeah, they love each other, but got them all the way to the 3 seed with I want to say like 15 to 20 games left. The Cavs had injuries that derailed them back into the play-in tournament. Unfortunately, didn't officially make the playoffs. But you've seen what what JB Bickerstaff can do with the young team that doesn't necessarily have that superstar yet. And I do think Cade Cunningham's a superstar, don't get me wrong. I just think before going into this season, there were so many questions surrounding that Pistons team. Look at what JB Bickerstaff did. You know, we never looked at this Pistons team prior to the season. Maybe people in Cleveland did because we saw what JB Bickerstaff did with that young Cavs team. But nobody nationally was taking the Pistons to be, you know, an obvious playoff team, let alone a team that would have home court advantage, let alone a 1 seed.
I would say only because I mean, maybe I did, and the only reason is, I mean, they gave the Knicks everything. They gave the Knicks their money's worth last year in the first round. The Pistons lost that in 6. Like, to me, I thought with the way the East stacked up, they were pretty clearly a playoff team this year. Where I was surprised was they held the 1 seed most of the year.
I thought they were a fringe, right on the border of playoff play-in. Like, I thought they were looking at a 6, 7, or 8 seed going into the actual play-in tournament is where I had the Pistons prior to the season starting. So this whole run that they went on throughout the entire season did take me by surprise.
Yeah, I do remember last year, like I said, ironically, Dennis Schroeder's a guy who I think elevates any team he's on. I mentioned that the night that the episode after they acquired him. Like, he was a big part of that Detroit team last year, and he was making some big shots for them against the Knicks in the playoffs. In the series, they ultimately lost in 6. Now, so I thought for sure they were a playoff team. I just don't know that JB Bickerstaff is ever going to get his team past the second round, but I'm not so sure Kenny is either without Donovan and, Donovan becoming Superman. Now, the one thing about that, you said things that surprised you about this series. This has not surprised me. Obviously, we talked about the wheel of Caris.
Mm-hmm.
JB Bickerstaff still, I mean, I don't know if there's a coach in the league who bitches as much to the officials as he does. I mean, he's constantly bitching. So, like, to see that again, that's where I don't miss him. Like, I mean, he's just whines the entire 4 quarters. Something else that I think has surprised me, if you're just going with takeaways from the series so far as we sit here all even and knotted up at 2, Tobias Harris playing as well as he has kind of come by surprise to me. I mean, this guy's been around forever, and like in his like 35th year, like he's an effective player in the playoffs. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't remember him being this effective in a while. But he's a guy who knows how to win, and he impacts winning, so good for him, good for the Pistons. Just don't be too effective and ruin our fun.
Tobias, yeah. And I think as long as the Cavs can strategize around having Evan Mobley on him the majority of the game, I think they'll be just fine. The problem is, and we saw this more so in Detroit, was them game planning around Evan Mobley being on Tobias Harris and trying to get that mouse in the house situation with a Max Strus or a Sam Merrill or even a Donovan Mitchell to be on a Tobias Harris. The Pistons have done a really good job of exploiting that. And that's something I think Kenny Atkinson really actually did a pretty solid job of in games 3 and 4, was recognizing that situation and trying to. They clearly had game planned a day or two prior to games 3 and 4 of like, okay, this has been something they've been exploiting. If they try switching, this is how we're going to hammer it this time around. So I think Kenny's done a pretty good job of game planning around what the Pistons were able to exploit in the first 2 games for sure.
Yeah, I think he has. Now, let me ask you, is there any other player who's like come up big or small, be it on the Detroit Pistons side or the Cleveland Cavaliers side? Like, obviously we've covered Harden ad nauseum. There's nothing else to really say there. We covered Donovan ad nauseum. But anything you have to say, like, from your point of view of someone who's come up big or small that you...
I mean, I mentioned him earlier, but I really was surprised at the run that Paul Reed went on, specifically in Game 4. After the Cavs went on that 24-0 run, it seemed like Paul Reed went on, I want to say it was a 7 or 9-2 run himself to basically get the Pistons back to within 16 points. And the Pistons cut it back down to 12, and that all started with Paul Reed. So that was one that really took me off guard. I've honestly been very surprised at how little of an impact Cade Cunningham has had in this series. Not that he's been a negative for the Pistons at all, because you still feel his presence on the court when he's out there, because he does make the right offensive play. Whether he makes the shot or not, he makes the right offensive play pretty much every time he's down the court outside of that sideline passing that Max Strus took basically right from him. I've been surprised at how limited the Cavs have been able to limit Cade Cunningham, and that's honestly a credit to Dean Wade.
Yeah, I think what shows you is Cade Cunningham could have as great of a game as he can or is, and it still doesn't necessarily impact winning, because like his best game was Game 3. He went 30 points, 10 assists, and 10 rebounds, and Detroit lost by 10 points. So like, I think just how we were bitching here about how they need somebody else, we need somebody else to step up, and that was our big bitch. Like, I think Detroit's big bitch probably going into Game 5 is like, okay, can somebody step up besides like Cade, Tobias, like,
right?
Duran. I mean, he's a good center.
Can't count on him,
but he's been inconsistent. Isaiah Stewart's out there to start trouble. That's his sole intention. He goes out there treating the hardwood like a UFC rank.
And you've got the wheel of Caris.
Yeah, we've talked about the wheel of Caris endlessly.
And Tobias Harris really has been that other consistent player for the Pistons in this series.
And then, I'll tell you, who's been a real pain in our ass has been Duncan Robinson.
Oh, my God. How have we not talked about him, actually?
I mean, he just makes every three-point shot.
Whether he's covered or not, it seems like every time he lets that ball go, it's cash money.
I mean, he missed one Monday night at the establishment I was at, and the place went ballistic because it's like, I don't think we haven't seen one that has been nothing but nylon. Every single one of them has. It's like, about time this guy misses. So Duncan Robinson's been huge. and he's solely out there for one intention, and that's to shoot, 3-point field goal attempts. The problem is he's been a one-trick pony, but the one trick has been extremely effective.
Yeah, and basically he's a better Sam Merrill. That's essentially what Merrill's out there for the Cavs. They each have
I will say Sam Merrill plays better defense than I think we realize.
Yeah, I think he's fine defensively. I think he can be exploited at times, but we've seen worse defenders in the Cavs uniform than Sam Merrill.
And Sam Merrill's size, I think, might contribute to him not being a great defender, where Duncan has a little bit more size. But yeah, it's all.
I think the problem with Merrill is that he's purely a 2. Like at Max Strus, you can play him at the 2 or the 3. Obviously, when you go small ball, sometimes we see him at the 4 for maybe a total of 2 minutes in today's NBA. But then there's Sam Merrill, who he's not going to bring the ball up the court for you. He can't play the 3 because he can't guard threes. He's like strictly a shooting guard. So I think that limits his capability defensively.
Yeah, it probably does. But when Money Merrill's hot,
it's
fun. It's a lot of fun.
It's fun to watch the runs that he can go on for sure.
Absolutely. All right. Obviously, with all this being said, it's now that time that I think we look at this from a long-term point of view. Can they be the team that gets to go to Madison Square Garden and face the Knicks, or is it going to be Detroit basketball?
Man, based off of historical data, and I'm talking like the last 3 to 4 years of Cavs basketball.
Particularly this year.
And particularly this year. Unless they win the game tonight, unless they win Game 5, I think it's extremely hard to pick them to win this series. But also, again, the Cavs have won? The Cavs as an organization have won what? Like the last 5 Game 7s that they've been a part of?
So all time, I had heard from Tim Alcorn, Cavs radio announcer. They are 8-2 all time organizationally in Game 7s.
Yeah, that's insane to me.
That's very good.
In our lifetime, have we seen them lose a Game 7? I'm trying to think about this. I don't know if we have. I don't want to take too much time thinking about it, but obviously you got the Warriors, 2016, Pacers 2018, Raptors this year, Magic 2022 or 2024, excuse me. That's
Boston,
4.
They went to 7 with one of the LeBron years, the second LeBron go around.
They won that one.
Yeah,
that's 5.
They won that one at the Gar.
I don't know if we have, unless it was the first LeBron stint, but maybe we were even too young to remember that.
I honestly don't remember them losing one because
neither do I.
Oh, LeBron's last game, his first go around was a Game 6, wasn't it?
Not a Game 7.
Yeah, I believe. Am I right on that though?
I believe it was a Game 6. I believe they lost in 6 to the
when
Celtics.
He took the
yes,
jersey off
because that was in Boston and the Cavs were the 1 seed that year.
Yeah. Okay, that was a Game 6. Maybe
I don't know if we have in our lifetime. I don't want to spend too much time on it.
No, I think there was a time the first LeBron go around they did.
If there is, please leave it in the comments because we may be mistaken, but I don't know if we've seen one.
So either way, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take them in 7 games because I don't see them winning tonight, unfortunately. Although they have the momentum.
They have all the momentum, but also they had all the momentum going into Toronto for Games 3 and 4, and look what happened. They had all the momentum going into Orlando in Games 3 and 4 back in 2024. We've seen the Cavs do this crap year in and year out, have all the momentum, go into the away arena, and blow it.
Yeah, so I don't
Very hard to pick them.
Then Game 6, I think they're going to absolutely dominate. And then I think they win a nail-biter in Game 7. Now, because they don't lose Game 7s. We just talked about it. We are struggling to sit here and remember the last time organizationally they lost a Game 7.
Yeah, but when was... outside of LeBron, have they won a Game 7 on the road? Not that I can remember.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because they beat the Magic at home.
They beat the Raptors.
They beat the Raptors at home. They beat the Pacers, but that was LeBron.
That was LeBron, and it was in Indiana.
All those other ones were LeBron.
So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take them to win it. I like them
in 7
in
on the
7.
road in Detroit, huh?
Yeah, that's what I like. I just fear, this could go one of two ways. Like the Knicks literally looked like an NBA team against a bunch of washed up 40-year-old men who think they're good at the local YMCA or local rec center against the Sixers. Embiid didn't care. He was more worried that he had a good year. That was his big thing. He had a good year, everybody.
Hey,
don't
LeBron
worry.
said that too. Stop blowing that out of proportion. LeBron said they had a good year.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think Embiid's the biggest fraud in a league of frauds.
I get it, but if he says that he thinks that it was a good year for him personally because of the injuries he was battling or what he was coming back from, and then LeBron says that he thinks that it was a good year for himself personally, I mean, it's the same thing they're saying, but in different ways. I feel like you can't rip one and then praise the other one.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to praise LeBron for it. I'm just going to no comment that. But
Okay.
But Embiid has always been, I feel like LeBron, as he's gotten older, has become, well, LeBron's always been kind of selfish too, but I feel like it's like, as he gets older, it's kind of like, it's emphasized more. Embiid's a guy who's been selfish since the day he was drafted out of Kansas, did not put on a uniform for the first 3 years, and then year 4 he was excellent, and then he's gone downhill ever since.
Yeah.
But screw the 76ers.
He won an MVP.
Screw the 76ers. They're totally irrelevant to this conversation. The most important part of the conversation is the Knicks are going to be sitting for like 10 days.
Well, and then you get the whole battle, rust versus rust.
Right, because you're going to get...
I feel like rust tends to win that most of the time.
I mean, the Knicks are sitting around right now. Mike Brown's probably running, inter-squad scrimmages just to play fresh. Meanwhile, the Cavs or Detroit is going to be...
think about that, man.
Is going to be coming off, which one of them it is going to be coming off to be absolutely exhausted.
So we got to beat our former coach to go ahead and face our former coach to get to the finals.
That's what the arrangement has for us, Kevin.
Wow.
And they both have huge heads. Like,
so
not,
you think
not figuratively, but both men's heads will take up your entire television screen. I mean, they have enormous noggins.
JB and Mike Brown?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, what do you think about Kenny Atkins' side? Normal?
Actually, very undersized.
Yeah, I think it fits his frame.
Yeah.
Fine.
Guy uses a ton of grease in his hair, though. Like, look how
I think it's gel.
Yeah, look how much grease that guy throws in his hair.
No, it's always slicked back to the max.
Yeah.
But okay, so that you've got the Cavs winning in 7. They go into New York. How do you think that series goes? If that's what we look at, because we there's a chance that we might not be able to preview this series.
No, I'm gonna go ahead and say I don't really like the Cavs' chances. I mean, the last time they played at the Garden on the playoffs, I mean, it was embarrassing.
And the Knicks are a better team
than
they were at that time.
I think the Knicks are a better team too, because that series was a while back now.
2023.
No.
Yeah.
Was it 2023?
Yep, because they faced the Magic 2024.
I thought that was 2022, Kevin.
I'm almost positive they faced them 2023.
Okay, so 2024 they lost. Yeah, I think you're right. Actually, now that I do the thing in my head, because last year they got gentlemen swept by the Pacers. The year before that they got gentlemen swept by the Celtics. And the year before that they got gentlemen swept by the Knicks in the first round. It is a different Knicks team. Now that Knicks team is super going to be well rested though. Like the Cavs, if they get there, are going to be dog-ass tired in the first couple games. Like, they're going to have to... It just doesn't bode well that, fraudulent Embiid and his boys couldn't even win a game.
They beat the Celtics.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just talking about the Knicks series specifically.
No, I know you're talking about that Knicks series specifically, but nobody thought the Sixers would even get past that Celtics team.
Yeah, it's almost like the 76ers, like, were surprised themselves. They beat the Celtics, and they're like, hell, whatever happens in the next
We're
round.
playing with house money right now.
Yeah, boys, we thought we'd be in Cancun already, and then Embiid said, "Shit, I wanted to be there. Get me there. Let's tank these."
Here we go.
I mean, those games weren't competitive.
No,
I mean,
they
were
weren't. They were getting blown
40
out.
to 50 to 30 point, 30, 40, 50 point games. And then, I mean, the city of Philadelphia, do you want to talk about being embarrassed? We here in Cleveland, as Cleveland fans, pride ourselves on being great sports fans. And I have to get this out here tonight.
Yeah, please.
And you and I have talked about this off the air, so we had talked about possibly bringing it up. What happened in the city of Philadelphia, every last Philadelphia sports fan ought to be ashamed of themselves. Like, you guys pride yourself on, we're the toughest fans. We don't let shit happen to us. Like, man, you don't want to come to the Link. You don't want to come to Citizens Bank Park. You don't want to come to the Spectrum Center, man, because we're just going to kick your ass.
You're doing a good Philly impersonation.
And then you watch game 3 and 4, particularly game 4, the closeout game. You have 90% Knicks fans. They try. The poor 76ers PA announcer tries to get a Let's Go Sixers chant started. It's booed by 17,000 Knicks fans and just booed, drowned it out, and overheard of a Let's Go Knicks fan chant. You look at the crowd when the Knicks win the game, and it's actually hard to spot out Sixers jerseys amongst the hundreds of Knicks fans. Like, listen, this kind of stuff happens in like Orlando. This kind of stuff happens in Miami. This kind of stuff happens in cities that don't claim to be good sports cities. Philly claims to be a tremendous sports city. And when you let the Xfinity Center, I believe it's called now, or the Comcast Center, whatever the hell it's called, you let your building just become MSG South. I mean, there's a reporter trying to do a stand-up for one of the local Philadelphia news stations, and her entire shot just gets filled with Knicks fans huddling, screaming in her ear, "Let's go Knicks." Then you have a little boy cutting up an Allen Iverson jersey with hundreds of Knicks fans cheering around him. I mean, when that happens in a diehard sports city like Philadelphia, those people have to be embarrassed, and they should. They lost a lot of credibility, I think, as a nation from the rest of America as a sports city.
Yeah, you really wouldn't see that in Cleveland ever. Like, actually be dominated over 50% the other team. I mean, when you go to the Browns games and it's Browns Steelers, you see those stupid ass terrible towels in the stadium. You do. I mean, it's like maybe 30% of the stadium sometimes. I would say at maximum. I don't think it ever gets more than that when it comes to...
I would say it used to when we really sucked, like the winless years and that. But no, I'd say for the most part, you're right.
I think the closest we've seen it when it comes to the Tribe is the Cubs World Series when all the people bust in from Chicago. But you couldn't really tell on TV because both teams were red and blue. But you could hear it from the Cubs, but you could also hear that it was still majority Indians, specifically on the Rajay homer, obviously. But yeah, you don't see them get actually taken over like you do or like you did in Philadelphia just the other night. It was despicable to call yourself a diehard sports town and be dominated. At least I would say 60 to 70% minimum of that stadium were Knicks fans. I mean, you got to be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think the other thing with that is the Garden is so damn expensive to go into. Like, it's cheaper for a lot of Knicks fans to take the train down to Philadelphia and for a day trip, go to the Philadelphia arena, take the train home. It's like a 2-hour train ride. That's cheaper to do all that than go to the Garden for one playoff game. You want to go to the Garden for a Knicks playoff game, you're taking out the mortgage. I mean, it's insane.
Well, you've gone. Not for a playoff game. Yeah, that's true.
I've never gone for a playoff game. No, I've been to...
Especially Celebrity Row.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're 100% right. And, like, that's the thing. Like, if we play them, like, there's going to be a good amount of Knicks fans here. It's not going to be anything like Philadelphia, but, I mean, they're going to be here. Like, they'll be here, but we're not going to let... I have total faith in this city. I don't care if we're down 2-0. Like, nothing like what happened in Philadelphia will happen in Cleveland.
No. No, not
I
at all.
believe it. I'd say for the Browns, it's the place that happens the most often. You also have to remember there's a quarter century of losing behind that.
Yeah.
Like the one this year that I'd say that was probably the most prominent of visitor fans was the Packer game.
Yeah, that game, and then also rewind back to 2023. There were a good amount of San Francisco fans represented in that stadium for Browns.
Oh shoot,
Niners.
they were there. There was a lot of them there this year.
Yeah.
This year again. But I'd say the Packers. Like, I was a Browns fan that day, and it took like all of us to try to drown out the Go Pack goes. Like it was probably 60-40. Like there was a lot of Green Bay fans there that day. Either way, what are your thoughts on a New York Knickerbockers and Cleveland Cavaliers Eastern Conference potential finals if we can beat Detroit basketball?
Yeah, right. I would say if the Cavs are fortunate enough to find themselves in the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time since LeBron, and even before LeBron was here, since the 90s, excluding the LeBron James-led Cavaliers, I think it's a 5-game series. I think it ends up much like the 2023 series between these two teams. I think the Knicks come out hot the first 2 games in New York. Jalen Brunson's just, I touched on it last week, a completely different animal once he gets into the postseason. Great regular season performer, but like I said last week, there's few players in the NBA that I would trust more in the playoffs than Jalen Brunson. He's that good of a playoff performer. The Cavs are going to have their hands full if they are fortunate enough to reach that space. I think they end up getting one at home. I think the Knicks steal one in Cleveland, and I think the Cavs would lose on the road in New York in Game 5.
Yeah, I think you're I mean, I don't know. The Knicks look tough. Like
the Knicks are a tough team,
like
and they're a very physical team too. For as great as they have ball movement, and for the superstar power that they have in a Jalen Brunson who can sometimes do the ISO ball, they have such a physical team of role players. OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, Karl Anthony Towns when he wants to.
Yeah, and he's wanted to. I don't know who turned his on button on, but he's wanted to.
Zesty Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah. It's almost like the Knicks went down 2-1 to Atlanta, and they have turned a corner and haven't looked back. And the only thing that us as Cavs fans could sit here and pray for is that Mike Brown's not working these guys out hard, and they've been putting their feet up and just watching the Cavs Pistons. Who are we going to play next? And just sitting there on their ass, not doing anything, and the rust starts to accumulate.
Yep.
That's all you can hope for.
So you've got, at least for the current series that we have, Cavs Pistons. I could be wrong by the time this releases at 8 o'clock Thursday morning. I think the Cavs ultimately win this series in 6. I think they win tonight, and I think they win on Friday.
Okay, I'm going Cavs in 7. We'll see what happens because this thing's going to go tonight, Friday, and then Sunday back in Detroit if need be.
Yeah.
And if Kevin's scenario proves to be true, which I obviously hope happens too, there won't be a need for Sunday, and then we can, hopefully get a little bit more rest. And then I like that because then we're only playing 2 games more than they are. That being,
have they already came out and said when the Eastern Conference Finals are going to start?
Yeah, they have, and that's
whether there's a Game 7 or not.
I believe they have announced that.
Okay, I mean, I would imagine if Game 7 ends up being Sunday. Yeah, I was going to say Wednesday. It very well could be Tuesday. I would hope that it would be Wednesday, though, just for another day of rest.
Yeah, I would hope so, too. Any other Cavs comments?
No, I'm actually going to look up and see. I'm just going to look up the Knicks schedule really quick just to see if it comes out, if it's one of those like TBD games that has been announced. But it doesn't look like it has been, at least from what I can see. So, yeah, I hope it's that Wednesday. I hope it's next Wednesday then, which means that we would probably be recording right before Game 1 tips off, or right after. So,
yeah, absolutely. All right, go Cavs. I mean, I think we've gone heavy on it tonight, as we should. This is the postseason. This is when you dial in, and I think we're dialed in here.
If you were the NBA, you know how everybody thinks the NBA can be scripted, specifically with how the lottery odds changed. Wouldn't you want hometown Donovan Mitchell facing New York? What almost was versus what is now with the Knicks?
Well, that's another thing. that's another reason.
I mean, that's a hell of a storyline going to that Eastern Conference Finals.
That's another reason. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. It's a small percentage of why I think this is going to go 7. The NBA doesn't want to miss out on any TV dollars, and with the Knicks just obliterating the 76ers, they missed out on 3 games of TV money. They need to mark their quotas. They need at least one of these series to go 7, and the other one was a sweep. So don't be surprised, folks, if we start getting some real shitty calls in Detroit tonight. And then if we get some real favorable calls in Game 6.
JB Bickerstaff called that out after Game 4.
I know.
He said it's amazing how the whistle changed.
Yeah.
But it's like, JB, have you not paid attention to the NBA playoffs ever? The home team gets the whistle pretty much the majority of the time.
I expect to be turning on the Cavaliers at 8 p.m. tonight and just watching them get railed by the officiating crew. And it will happen. It will.
There will probably be a couple questionable calls.
More so than a couple. You know how
there will be a few.
Kevin, you know how I always think of the officials. Not in a positive light.
Never.
No, I can't stand those guys.
No, you hate them.
No, I really don't like them. Hate's a strong word. I really don't like them. All right. Real quick on baseball before we get out of here. I guess we got to talk about the Guardians and the Giants led by Buster Posey pulling off I guess, pretty notable trade considering what was dealt.
Yeah.
I
mean, a multi-time Gold Glove catcher.
And, competitive balance pick. And Tugboat Wilson.
Out of here.
Yeah, or Wilkerson, I should say.
Yeah.
Who a lot of fans really seem to like.
Which, by the way, he had a pretty good outing in the minors today.
Yeah, I
want to
saw.
say he went 5 shutout innings, only gave up 2 hits.
He was pitching really well at AA Akron, but I don't know. I mean,
but the thing is, like, when it comes to pitching, are the Guardians really going to miss out on pitching too much? I mean, this is another point that we've hit on.
This is their bread and butter,
and almost nauseum.
And this is going to sound really mean, but I had a friend of the show, Philly Ann, bring this up to me on Saturday. Like, if he didn't pitch in the WBC, which he did for Canada, or if he didn't have like this like cool nickname, Tugboat, like, people have been following him since he was in Lake County. Like, people have really been after him or, on his game and know about him. But, like, if those two things weren't the case, and if he wasn't a little bit more of a hefty man, and I could say that as a hefty man myself, would people really give a shit about us giving up a AA lefty who throws 90 miles an hour?
Probably not.
Yeah.
At the time of the trade, you know what? So when it was, okay, the Guardians gave up Tugboat Wilkerson and the 28th pick in the draft. 28, right? I get that right? 28 or 29, whatever it was. I was like, oh, shit. We just gave up a first-round draft pick for this guy. Like, in a draft that has unlimited rounds, it feels like. I don't know what the actual amount of the rounds are, believe it or not.
I think it's down to 20.
But that's like a significant price to pay for a guy. And then I find out what was the actual draft that they gave up the pick in? What's it called?
A compensatory pick.
Okay,
I think, or a competitive balance or something.
Yeah, so
whatever.
it's not the actual MLB draft pick that they gave up. Because I thought to myself, my understanding was you can't give up draft picks in trades. You can only give up prospects. But apparently you can in the compensatory draft or the competitive balance draft, whatever it might be. And then you give up a minor league pitcher, which, like we've said, the Guardians are amazing at developing pitching. So, and then you bring in a multi-time Gold Glove catcher, switch hitter, which I'm a sucker for switch hitters. I just am, because you can fit them in any lineup. You're not worried about the pitching matchup most of the time, if ever, really, with switch hitters. And you get somebody who's elite behind the dish. I truthfully, I know he hasn't been great offensively since we've acquired him, or really done anything offensively since we've acquired him. I'm still okay with this trade. You put him at the 8 spot, set it and forget it.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I think when we have been begging for months and even years for it to be the end of Bo Naylor, like, it make no mistake, it is the end. Like,
yeah,
they sent him to Arizona to rot out there until they find somebody to trade for him.
Yeah, and
That's it. Like, people who are like, oh, well, if Bo hits in Columbus. First of all, Bo's not even going to Columbus. Second of all, you don't trade for Patrick Bailey with the envision of Bo Naylor ever putting the chest protector on behind your plate again.
No,
right?
I 100% agree. And Patrick Bailey, I know he hasn't had a great season offensively. I think he's batting, 150?
Ooh, 140.
140. Okay, 10 points better than Bo Naylor. No,
yeah,
but
it's kind of both
he's
ugly.
been horrible. But his last few years, like he's a career 220-ish hitter, has never hit for power. So you have to understand you're not acquiring somebody who's going to be a Yan Gomes or a Roberto Perez who might give you 20 bombs. It's not going to happen. But maybe this is a guy who he finds his swing again and he ends up hitting above the Mendoza line. I'm okay with this trade.
Yeah, my thing is, like, we had cried and whined for them to get rid of Bo Naylor forever on this podcast.
Right.
And, like, we had both decided, like, last week we spent a large portion of time on bitching about Bo Naylor.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Chris Antonetti listened. No, I'm just kidding. But in all seriousness, clearly the front office had reached their breaking point, too. It's just, like, my idea was, like, getting rid of Bo Naylor is you probably want to replace him with somebody better offensively, and like Patrick Bailey ain't all that much better offensively. That's all I'm saying.
At least this season.
Now, Patrick Bailey is a hell of a defender. I don't know how much, like, I think they're going to let him get ramped up a little bit, and I think right now he's going to split time with Hedges and Fry, and that's kind of what we saw in this sweep here against the Angels. Monday, you had David Fry behind the dish. Tuesday, you had Patrick Bailey himself behind the dish. And then today, on the day after a night, usually the catchers never start those day after nights. Today, you had Hedgie behind the dish. Now, we'll see what happens. Like, if he really starts to, like, be off, like, I will say, I watched Sunday's game. Like, his at-bats, and I know it was his very first game. He had just been traded for. Like, I understand all that. I'm not, dismissing any of that. His at-bats, like, swinging through 88-mile-an-hour fastballs down the middle, I was like, holy shit, did we actually get worse than Bo Naylor? Like, it was an instant reaction, but I'm like, oh, my God, I think Bo might actually take out an 88-mile-an-hour fastball, and this guy's swinging through it. But I'm not going to judge a book by its cover. I'm not going to judge a guy after 2 starts here so far. Let him get accustomed. And I know...
We saw Bazana's first few starts, and now look at him.
And exactly. He's an on-base machine. I know that the Guardians, we all know how they operate. I'm almost convinced they tell catchers, we don't give a shit what you do at the plate. Just stop everything. Make yourself a super good resource to our pitchers, and then whatever you hit, we consider a bonus. I mean, think about it. I think that's what they do, because look who they've employed. Austin Hedges, Bo Naylor, and then they go out and actually give up a substantial amount for a prospect in prospect capital and draft pick for a guy who, oh, by the way, also can't hit and hasn't for a while.
Yeah, and what was frustrating is in his first start, he allows a pass ball.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I understand. Like, I was not too upset about that because I know he's getting used to the pitchers probably, and I figured, okay, like this will he'll end up having this perfected with the pitchers that he's working with here in the next couple weeks. But it was literally his first game action with the. I wonder if he got any even practice attempts in with them before the game.
I would guess that he probably warmed up Gavin in the bullpen that day, and then
that's what I think too.
Maybe on Saturday when he got here, he played catch with them. I don't know. I mean,
well, exactly. So like that, I didn't look too deep into that. I saw X was all up in arms about, we trade for a defensive guy and he allows a pass ball. No ball before you start speaking. Seriously, like, know how this starts to get adjusted.
Right. Like I just said, you got to consider the flight, the move, the family, all that
100%.
sort of stuff. I guess two players who, if we want to just do like a quick, we're not going to go through every game. I kind of did at the top of the show tonight. Like, they played like shit against the Twins. The only game they won, shout out Travis Bazzana, first major league home run. It was great to be in the building for that.
Yeah, that's
pouring
awesome.
Down rain. And they played like shit. They literally left 25 men on base on Saturday and Sunday. They left a quarter century of men on base. That should never happen. Kevin's little league team didn't do that, folks. I mean, we have a major league team doing that. And then Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, they did exactly what they should do. I'm not going to go crazy praising them for it. I looked at Kevin on Sunday. We were sitting in our living room together. I was like, they better expletive sweep the expletive Angels because the Angels expletives suck. And Kevin said, I agree. And they went out there and they swept the Angels. So we're not going to sit here and throw a round of applause for them, but we'll say, good job. You swept the Angels. Now go beat the Reds this weekend. Like, you put yourself in a little bit of a bind there. The thing is that helps them out is, let's call it for what it is, their division is absolutely an atrocity.
It's horrible.
It is horrendous. The Tigers look like total crap. The Twins, we saw them. I mean, yeah, they took 2 or 3 from us. But they don't look anything good. The Royals look okay. And the White Sox, they're better. They're not good, but they're better because they were a downright abomination the last couple of years. And Munataka I don't know if I'm saying it right. Munataka Morikawa, that's it, has been absolutely tremendous and fun.
You nailed that one.
Fun to watch for the White. Thank you for the White Sox. So yeah, they could probably like play okay and win this division, but like they're not a team that's good enough. They can just roll the baseball out and win. Like they have to actually make effort to win the game. And that's what they did. And, you know, they took care of business against the shitty Angels. Angel Martinez, 2 home runs this series. He continues to hit. Daniel Schneemann, big RBI single today. Big 2-run single on Monday night. He continues to hit. And Steven Kwan continues to stink. And it hurts my heart to say it. Jose Ramirez continues to not be good.
Yeah, and here we are in first place in the division.
Right.
I know. It's honestly unbelievable because you're looking at this. You're thinking 40 games into the year. You're in first place in the division. Yeah. Kwan and Ramirez have to be playing well. That's what we're talking about 2 months ago as we're previewing the season. Those are the 2 things that need to be happening offensively in order for you to be above 500, and neither are happening. That's a kudos to the young players. Bazana's been playing well. DeLauder's been playing well. Hoskins is an on-base machine right now.
Walking machine.
Absolutely a walking machine. Angel Martinez stepping up to the dish. Daniel Schneemann stepping up to the dish. We've had a lot of players step up that we never thought would, and they've been carrying the team this year. It's been, honestly, I don't want to say it's been awesome to see because you want the production out of Kwan and you want the production out of Ramirez, but it has been awesome to see these players step up when the mainstays haven't. Yeah, and I have to say, are they, one last thing, and then we got to get out of here and go watch the Cavs. Are they finally, do you think today was a regularly scheduled program off day for Steven Kwan? Or are they finally, you think, getting fed up? He didn't play today, and the guy who took his leadoff spot in left field, Angel Martinez, proceeded to go out there and smack a leadoff home run to the bleachers. Yeah, is he our new leadoff hitter? Would you say that?
I don't know. I mean, he was 2 for 4 today. I will say this. I don't know if they are because they are stubbornly, extremely too patient on guys. I'm personally at the end of my Kwan rope right now. Like
I'm not at the end of my rope of them playing him every day. I'm at the end of my rope with him leading off every day.
I'm at the end of the playing every day rope. Like,
see, I'm not, just because I think he does offer you something much like a Patrick Bailey, something elite in the outfield defensively. I think it's hard to take that out of the lineup.
It is. I think Angel's a fine defender. If Angel is going to play in left every day, then you almost have to play. Schneemann's a very good defender in center, and even if not, Petey Alpin, outfield assist over the weekend. Like, Petey Alpin can play defense.
I mean,
Petey can run the bases and play some defense.
What's to stop them just from platooning Manzardo and Hoskins at first base, having DeLauder at DH, and then having Schneemann, Martinez, and Kwan in the outfield?
Kwan's terrible plate appearances are what's going to stop that.
Well, no, but do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, from a defensive point of
view. From a defensive point of view and from a lineup point of view, I think you can still construct a lineup around that with Kwan batting like 7th, Bailey at 8, Rocchio in the 9 hole that he always is, and I think you can bump Bazana up to 2, DeLauder at his natural spot at cleanup hitter, and I think that lineup actually is constructed pretty well for that team.
I would agree with most of what you said. To me, if they're going to be hell-bent, which I see where you're saying, because I think they're going to be they're going to tell you, and they have been, Stephen Vogt's been saying it, Tony Arnick's been saying it, the bench coach who coached over the weekend because Stephen Vogt was out due to illness. like they're going to be stubborn about Quan. They're going to tell you
They are.
4-time Gold Glove winner, 2-time All-Star, Like, yeah, the bottom line is again, if I could see it, how could you not see it? You're paid millions of dollars to see it. His at-bats are not the same. He rolls over on everything. He hits pop-ups. Like, he swings through like 88-mile-an-hour fastballs like it's nothing. And it's really frustrating. So for me, if they're going to do what you suggested of still playing Quan, and I'm not even saying you suggest, I think that's just probably what is going to happen, unfortunately. I think Quan has to hit ninth. Like, if he's going to be in the lineup, he's got to be the last person in it. Like, I'm moving Rocchio up.
Where are you moving? How far are you moving Rocchio up in the lineup?
Probably 7.
I think 6 or 7, quite frankly. I think I would be okay with either of those if you're deciding to bat Quan 9. I just think when you construct the lineup at the top like that, like let's say Martinez, Bazana, Ramirez, DeLauder, Hoskins, hypothetically, I think you're forced to pitch to each of them.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think
maybe not Hoskins, depending on who's after him, but I think you get what I'm saying.
All I'll say is we'll see. Maybe they want to get Quan back-to-back off days with the day game today and tomorrow to clear his head. I'm curious to see if he's going to be in there Friday night when they line up against the Reds. Big weekend.
Yeah, it'll be
down there,
interesting.
2016. Because right now, if you want to go purely off offensive production, like we just talked about it, Schneemann and Martinez have been your 2 best, most consistent hitters, and up there with Rocchio too. And yeah, guess what positions they could both play? The positions you play, Steven. Get your shit together, buddy.
Yeah,
all right,
buddy.
Go Cavs. We're going to get out of here. Kevin and I must go watch the Cavs. Thank you, Derek, on the other side of the glass. Great job, as always, keeping everything on the P's and Q's and 1s and 2s. And then make sure you can follow us on social media. I don't know. Some of you may have saw it. Like, we're going to try to do a little bit more of that stuff. We put an instant react to the Patrick Bailey trade out there. We're going to try to do more of that stuff. I think it's good for you guys to get what we're thinking about, so you're not forced to be patiently waiting until Thursday morning.
Thursday at 8 a.m.
And it's good for on our end too. And you can get all that stuff at CLE Sports Realm. We're on all those social medias, the
X,
Twitter,
Instagram, TikTok.
yeah, all that stuff.
All that good stuff.
And then this podcast available to watch. Listen. This podcast available to listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. It's available to watch Spotify video feed and YouTube. That's it for us. Go Cavs. Have a great weekend, everybody. And we hope to be talking about a Cavs Knicks series next time we step in this studio. Adios, friends. Have a great night. Go Cavs.
Let them know.